The Sony RX1R III, the long-awaited update to its well-respected predecessor, the RX1R II. There's been a bit of a controversy around the launch of this camera, and I for sure can see why. There are a ton of positive things to say about this camera, but there are also some really frustrating things to say about it as well. I think this is one of Sony's more niche cameras, and I think they could have done more to give the RX1R III a broader appeal. The main gripe most people are going to have with this camera is the price, which is understandable. A fixed 35mm f2 lens, full frame 60 megapixel compact camera isn't really what everyone is looking for, but for some people the RX1R III is going to be the camera they've all been waiting for. And I might actually be one of those people. Let's just get it out of the way up front. I really enjoyed the 4 days I had with this camera, but it for sure wouldn't be my main camera if I were to buy it. There are a bunch of fixed lens cameras on the market like the Fuji X100VI, the Sony ZV-1 II, Canon's PowerShot V1, or even more pricey options like the Leica Q3 and Fuji's GFX100 RF. There are a bunch of great compact interchangeable lens camera options like the Sony A7CR, which actually uses the same sensor as the RX1R III, but I'm going to keep my comparisons to other fixed lens cameras. The RX1R III kind of sits close-ish to the middle of all the cameras I just listed in terms of sensor size and price. All of these cameras scratch a different itch, some for video and others for photography. I've used the ZV-1 II and the PowerShot V1 in the past, and while they each were good cameras, they just weren't for me. Both because their sensors are much smaller than I'd prefer, and because they are vlogging-centric cameras. I would love to get an X100VI. I do enjoy using APS-C cameras, but you have to get on a waitlist for that camera, and who knows when you'll get an opportunity to buy it. So that leaves me with a lot less options. While the RX1R III and GFX100 RF are just within the amount of money I could justify spending on a fixed lens camera, the Leica Q3 is just way out there for me at the moment. Ultimately, for my purposes, the GFX100 RF is just too big, so that rules it out for me as well. The RX1R III is the perfect size to take everywhere and is powerful enough to make the picture-taking experience feel just about as premium as an upper-class Alpha Series camera. Also, do remember that the RX1R II wasn't exactly a cheap camera when it came out. Yes, inflation has hit us like a sack of tungsten bricks, but not so much in this case that it's as mind-blowing as it originally seems to be. So the RX1R line has never really been the budget option. And keep in mind that this is a camera that comes with a full-frame lens that's maxed out at f2 and a 60 megapixel sensor. Is that description copium? You tell me. Before I continue to talk about what I think about the RX1R III, let me give you the reason I would buy a fixed lens camera. I'm more and more on the go, and taking an interchangeable lens system is becoming less and less interesting to me when I just want to have fun taking pictures. This isn't because I don't like my bigger camera systems. They have their place and for sure are not getting replaced anytime soon in my life, but when I'm hanging out with friends or exploring new places, whether that be walking around by bike or kayak, I just find having a big camera burdensome. I love the size and convenience of fixed lens cameras, and to a certain extent it brings back the feeling of a disposable camera with today's more advanced mirrorless camera technology. Now again, I do like APS-C sensors, and since I have no connection to the RX1R II, I would have been happy if the RX1R III had been given an APS-C sensor, especially if that had brought the price to under $3,000. But Sony didn't want to make the RX1R III that way, and honestly, all the power to them. I prefer full frame as well. It's an interesting balance with fixed lens cameras of sensor and lens in that you need to pair them to be just wide enough and narrow enough to make shooting in most scenarios feel normal. And by that I mean when shooting subjects both near and far, the experience isn't made frustrating due to the fixed lens. I think the RX1R III has done this very well. The ZEISS Sonnar T 35mm f2 lens paired with the 60 megapixel Exmor R CMOS sensor are a pretty decent match. In these examples you can see that in the center of frame the lens is consistently sharp, however edge-to-edge sharpness is only okay. It's quite soft at f2 and f2.8 and is sharpest between f5.6 and 8. I wish the combination of the sensor and lens was a bit better performing wide open, since the lens is fully integrated with the camera, but it does have the same lens that the RX1R II had. A bit disappointing to not get an upgrade, but there you go. The sensor in the RX1R III is a tried and true winner. Being the same sensor as the fantastic A7R V, I can say it holds up. Even though I was only able to shoot JPEGs during my review period, I was still able to manipulate the images the way I wanted, both in color and cropping. Even though it's a JPEG, the fact that the photo is 9,504 by 6,336 pixels means by default that there is a lot of information to work with. Now, moving on from image quality and specs, let's talk about what it was actually like using the RX1R III. For my size of hands, it's right on the verge of being too small, and I mostly feel this way in regard to the 3 rings on the lens. Aperture focus and the close focus rings feel a bit cramped, but again, for what I would buy the RX1R III for, this is totally acceptable. The play and trash buttons also feel weirdly soft and can feel like you aren't fully pressing them even though you are. Otherwise, the rest of the buttons and switches feel just as good, if not better, than an Alpha series camera. My main 2 major gripes with the physical design of this camera are the viewfinder and its battery. I would have expected a much better viewfinder in this camera. The fact that the screen no longer articulates means to me that you are supposed to use the viewfinder the majority of the time. Though the back screen is a higher resolution compared to the RX1R II, the viewfinder is the same, which is pretty disappointing. Less so in terms of the resolution, but more in the fact that there is a pretty large discrepancy between what the image looks like in the viewfinder and on the back of screen. The viewfinder always seemed a bit off to the real screen in terms of like white balance. There's like a little bit of a quality issue. It's hard to describe unless you actually see it with your eyes. And also it's a little awkward to look through the viewfinder if you are a glasses wearer. It's just not big enough. Okay, to close out the problems section of this video, I have to talk about the RX1R III's underpowered battery. I was able to get about 1.5 hours of use on a fully charged battery. That's not quite what you'd expect the battery to be like on a camera you'd want to take around all day with you. And keep in mind, this is just when taking JPEGs, but I do realize that a bigger battery would mean a bigger camera, so obviously a choice had to be made, and the choice was to make the camera very small, and there you have it. All that being said, I would recommend buying a 2nd or 3rd battery if you plan to shoot all day with this camera. Based on the old spec sheet, you get about 270 shots when using the viewfinder and about 300 shots when using the back screen. From my experience, this is pretty accurate. Why you get more shots when using the bigger screen is confusing to me, but my guess would be that it's because the viewfinder is an OLED and the rear screen is a LCD. It's really tough, you know? Like, there is a lot of upsides to this camera for sure, and there are some big downsides. But the amount of time that I got with this camera, it's really difficult to know if those gripes are gonna bother me long term. I could easily see myself getting over the viewfinder's quality quickly, but having to deal with that underpowered battery is another thing entirely. From a style and user experience, it's exactly what we've come to expect from Sony. I think the RX1R III is one of Sony's more cool looking cameras, and I wouldn't feel out of place wearing it most places. With a nice strap and a brass shutter insert, it'd dress up nice. It's so light that I could comfortably exercise with it slung over my shoulder. Very few cameras this powerful have that stat, so this is a big selling point for me. I for sure enjoyed using the RX1R III. It's so close to being the perfect compact camera for me. But anyways, what do you think about the RX1R III? Is it too expensive? Are the features not good enough to back up that price? Other opinions, all welcome. Let me know in the comments again. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos in the future. All right, that's all I have to say for now. Bye.